Tom Brady has decided he will no longer be the starting quarterback and the quarterback for the New England Patriots. After almost 20 years of greatness with the New England Patriots organization, he is going to move elsewhere. And it's interesting because the AFC East is now completely open. When you think about it, with Miami making the moves that they have made so far in free agency, Buffalo making the move that they did with bringing in Diggs yesterday, giving up a first round, a fourth round, and what was the other one?
It was a 1, 5, and 6 this year and a fourth in 2021.
Gave up a lot for Stefon Diggs, and Diggs is a good player. He adds another big-time offensive player on the outside that can make plays for the Buffalo Bills, something they didn't have in the playoffs last year, which could have drove them even further into the playoffs. But this is big news, and I'll tell you why. Because you look at the AFC East right now, you look at Josh Allen, and you look at Sam Darnold. Those are the two quarterbacks we're going to be talking about for the very near future of the AFC East. And a lot of people, I've read in articles today, and as a Jet fan, there is some hope. Because now the New York Jets, more than likely, has the best quarterback in that division. Now, that doesn't say much because the Jets have done nothing so far this offseason that can bolster that offensive line. Now, they added Font yesterday. We were talking about it yesterday. We did not talk about it on the show. It throws me off because you would think they were going to go after Jack Conklin, but the Jets didn't want to spend $4 million more. So they decided to go with Font because Font, they only had to pay him $13.5 million guaranteed. They signed him to a 3-year deal, about $34 million. Now, I don't know where the Jets are planning to put Font, but right now what I've been reading, they're going to put him at the left tackle position because Beachum is not coming back. And they're going to decide maybe after the draft, are they going to keep him at the left tackle position or are they going to move him to the right tackle position?
I mean, it might be a work in progress for a young player if they do draft one at 11, or again, maybe they trade up to get one of the top tackles. We don't know, but a likely one will be there at 11. It might be a work in progress. They might start him at right tackle and have Font play left tackle until the middle of the season, then maybe switch it later when he's more comfortable at the NFL level.
I do believe in Joe Douglas because I think Douglas knows how to draft offensive linemen. Go look at his background. Go look at the Ravens, all those years, the 2 Super Bowls that they won. That offensive line, that was a big part of their drive all those years of being Super Bowl contenders. Their offensive line was one of their strengths. So was their defensive line. So I believe in Joe Douglas. Also, when he went to Chicago, he bolstered up that offensive line, which made that offensive line a lot better than it was. And then he moved to the Eagles, and you saw what he did with the Eagles.
The Eagles have one of the best lines in football. He
built that offensive line. He was the VP of player personnel and the VP GM over there with the Eagles, and he completely changed that organization, building that offensive line and finally winning their first Super Bowl in forever. I mean, so the Eagles, one of the main reasons why they were the Super Bowl champions was because of the offensive line and what they did for Nick Foles throughout the playoffs. So I believe in Joe Douglas. What he did with Font, bringing back Alex Lewis, and really getting 2 really good bargains for 2 offensive linemen. Well, you don't get offensive linemen for $30 million and $16.5 million. So the Jets, so far, so good. Now, I'm not saying it was great moves, and as a Jet fan, I'm not ecstatic because you would look at Jack Conklin and you would think, Jack Conklin was the best player available, and they didn't get him. And he went to a team that only paid him $4 million more in the Browns. But it's the Browns. Now, as far as Tom Brady is concerned, he will be missed, but not for Jet fans, not for Buffalo Bill fans, or Miami Dolphins fans. But he will be missed in the AFC. Not for the good, but not for the bad either. Tom Brady is one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play this game. And more than likely is heading off to the NFC. A harder league, much harder divisions, where the competitiveness is a completely different competitiveness than it is in the AFC.
Especially the South and the West. They've been great for years and well-rounded. Different teams winning all the time.
That doesn't mean that Tom Brady will not succeed in the NFC. That's not what I'm saying. But if you look at the whole big picture here, and there is a huge picture here, as an AFC fan, because I'm a Jet fan, you would have to be ecstatic that Tom Brady is no longer in the AFC. Because if you look at the quarterbacks now in the AFC, who scares you? Who scares you? Go up and down.
Mahomes, Watson, and
that's it.
Really, that's it. Yeah, they're the only.
That's it. And both of them are young players. Mm-hmm. So now you're talking about adding 2 new teams, 2 extra teams to go to the playoffs. Now you could start talking about the Jets. You could talk about maybe the future of the Dolphins. Or every year
they'll find a way to screw it up.
Or every year seeing the Buffalo Bills make it to the playoffs. We haven't seen since Jim Kelly's era. You talk about what the AFC could be now that Tom Brady is gone. And he's gone. He's not coming back. He's not even staying in the AFC. I thought he was going to go to the Vegas Raiders, and it could possibly happen, but a lot of reports are coming out that if it's not the Chargers, which they are in the AFC, he's more than likely going to the NFC. The Bucs are a team that people are talking about. There are stories coming out that who was the other team?
The 49ers.
The 49ers are another organization that maybe be looking to trade away Jimmy Garoppolo and add Tom Brady because they want to win a Super Bowl. That's up to John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan.
We wanted him 2 years ago, but the Patriots didn't want.
No, I'm not taking shots. I'm not taking shots at Tom Brady today. That's not why I brought up Tom Brady, and that's not why we're really basing the starting of this show on Tom Brady. Tom Brady will always be remembered as a Jet killer. He'll always be remembered as a Buffalo Bills killer and a Miami Dolphin killer.
Except in Miami.
And we all know he won 6 Super Bowls and he has won 3 Super Bowl MVPs and 3 MVPs, regular season MVPs, one of the greatest of all time, like I just said. But now this opens, if he does not stay in the AFC, and more than likely, everything that I've read, he is going to the NFC. He wants to go out west. He wants to go back home. That's where he's from. That's where he was raised. He grew up a 49ers fan. He grew up a Joe Montana fan. And the same thing when you look at Tom Brady, you look at Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold grew up in Cali. He's a California kid. And eventually, I'm sure, Sam's going to want to go home. But right now, when you look at Tom Brady accomplished everything and anything a quarterback could really accomplish in the NFL. And not only is he one of the greatest of all time, statistically, he is the greatest of all time in the playoffs. And he also is one of the best regular season quarterbacks we have ever seen as well. Now, I know a lot of people are going to say, well, he had nobody to throw to. And if he goes to a team like the Bucs or he goes to the team like the 49ers.
The Bucs have tons of weapons. They just need an offensive line.
To me, Tom Brady had a lot of people to throw to. Aaron Hernandez was no shoo-in. Gronkowski is one of the greatest tight ends to ever play the game. Randy Moss, who he had for almost 2 years, was one of the best wide receivers.
The greatest single season for a wide receiver in recent memory.
One of the best wide receivers ever to play the game. Julian Edelman is probably a Hall of Famer.
No, his regular seasons weren't good enough for that.
I think he's a Hall of Famer. Look at his playoff numbers.
He needs more good regular seasons because he kind of started kind of late.
I don't think so. I think his numbers are right there as a Hall of Famer. He had Wes Welker there. He had weapons. I don't want to hear that Tom Brady didn't have anybody to throw to or he had nobody to run the ball to. Corey Dillon was no shoo-in. He was a good running back. Now, again, I'm not taking shots at Tom Brady, but everybody wants to say that Tom Brady didn't have a team in front of him. He didn't have really anybody. If you look at his statistics and you look at his offensive lines, now, out of the 20 years that he was the quarterback for the New England Patriots, he probably, I don't know the numbers exactly, out of the 20 years, 12 or 13 of those years, he had one of the best offensive lines in football.
Definitely the later part of the 2000s he did. I'm not sure about any other years before that, but from 2005 to 2010, before those players, Matt Light, Logan Mankins, they started to leave. That line was one of the best in football for a while. Recently, they've had some good ones. I don't think any great ones, but some good ones. I can't account for before that, but I'm sure they definitely had that too if they still had the same old line coach, which has been one of the best in the league for a while too.
And again, I'm not taking a shot at Tom Brady. Again, I'm giving the hail and happiness that Tom Brady is no longer in the AFC East. I'm very happy about that. Now, I don't know who's heading to the New England Patriots, and I can absolutely see the New England Patriots trying to move up in the draft to get, you know who, Mr. Tua.
Really?
Yes, I believe it.
You think that's Belichick's type of quarterback?
I do.
Really?
I think Tua is a guy. He's a superstar kind of quarterback that can go over there in New England, and he doesn't have to start the season as the starting quarterback. They could bring in a veteran quarterback that knows the system, and then slowly ease him in the next season after that because he'll miss the whole season. I could see Bill Belichick doing that. Yes.
Well, they can afford to gamble on that because, again,
there's nothing to gamble. There's nothing to gamble.
Injury.
I don't care. Watson tore his ACL 3 times, 2 times in college and high school. And he came into the NFL, he played 1 year, and he tore it again. And look how good Watson is. Mm. This is the same thing. This is the hip. I understand that. But this is also a kid that's not even 20 years old. If he was 24, 25 years old and he tore his hip, that would be different. He's 20 years old.
No, I'm not denying they couldn't afford it. I'm just saying, look at the Belichick history with even the backup quarterbacks.
Let's change the Belichick history because Belichick is not going to stick to the same history he always does. People change.
Yeah, but again, there's usually a specific type that he likes. I'm not saying he changes everything because he evolves with the game. He always game plans very differently.
The game is different now. The game is completely different. Mobile quarterbacks have changed the game. And I think when you look at Tom Brady and you look at Phillip Rivers and Eli Manning and all the other quarterbacks we've been talking about, even Drew Brees, these guys are pocket-made quarterbacks. We're talking about mobile quarterbacks now. We're talking about Russell Wilson. We're talking about Lamar Jackson. We're talking about Patrick Mahomes, Sam Darnold, Josh Allen. These are Cam Newton, who's still available. And that's a guy right now. The Carolina Panthers have reached out to the agent of Cam Newton stating that he can look to be traded to a team that he wants to be traded to. Mm-hmm. And that's an interesting thing because now you're talking about Carolina, who just signed Teddy Bridgewater today for $60 million. Cam Newton is now looking for a job. Cam Newton, what was it, 3-4 years ago, was the league MVP. Mm-hmm. He also, 3-4 years ago, was in the Super Bowl, and he was 1 or 2 plays away from winning a Super Bowl.
Yeah, that defense played well, and the offensive line just broke down for him.
Think about it this way. Cam Newton right now is going to be a free agent. He's going to be traded. He's not going. They're not going to get much for him because he obviously had shoulder surgery in the offseason. So they don't know what Cam Newton is. But Cam Newton is not a thrower. He can make every throw, but that's not his game. His game is his power, his strength, his size. And if you think about somebody like Bill Belichick, who likes to throw those screen passes, likes to move the quarterback around, that he never had with Tom Brady. He never had that. He never had that with Matthew Castles. You know what I mean? He never had that. Now, his game, he loves to use the running backs. He loves to use the wide receivers in the back of the field, running, screen passes. He loves to throw short passes, quick passes. Having a mobile quarterback, you could do it even better and even faster and even more.
Right, but that's not Cam Newton, though. Cam Newton is one that makes good throws on the run, tough throws. He likes to throw the ball deep, being a gunslinger type. He's not really like that type of quarterback. He adjusted a little bit, obviously, when they drafted Christian McCaffrey, but beyond that, throughout his career, he's always been a guy that likes to throw the ball deep, throw tough routes, throw jump balls to bigger-bodied wide receivers. And that's really the opposite of what the Patriots are. They never like that kind of stuff. They always like, again, high percentage throws. Complicated motion, sure, but not really as many complicated routes as being primary options. Like you said, screen passes. So that's really kind of the opposite of what Cam Newton's been in his career.